Oliver Pichwan Luthier here, and today I'm going to show how to properly install these beautiful Rubner tuning machines onto the ukulele. And these are really solid brass. They're made in Germany, and they're made by a company called Rubner. These are the old patina, called the old patina with snakewood buttons on them. They're just really gorgeous. Well, now let's get to it. Once we want to install these, we find that on the back, the supports for the turn here is riveted on, and there's a little lump there that's in there, and that little lump is going to give us problems because it's going to hold the plate slightly distant to the side of the headstock. So we're going to take a file, and we're just going to come in with this file and file those down flat so that they're perfectly flat. No worries, they hold really well. And if you file a little bit on the, you make sure that your button is down flat like that, so you're not going to file the button, but you can file those so that they're perfectly flat. And that way you won't have the plate sitting proud of the headstock. Doesn't take much, it's just a real slight thing. If you file a little bit on the back of the plate, it's not a problem because it's going to be against the wood. So there we go. So you can see I just filed those down so that they're flat. They still hold really well, there's no problem. And it's just brass, so they polish really quickly. Now, when we go to install these here on the headstock, we notice that also there's a little ring kind of around this part of the peg. I'm going to hold it under the camera so you can see it. This little ring here, and that ring is also going to be an issue. We can't take that off. So what I've done is I've chamfered slightly the wood here around the peg hole. So these pegs require a 1/4 inch hole, and they're 1 inch long, so I drill these about 1 inch and a 32nd or 1 inch and a 16th deep. So when we put this on here like this, we can see that it just fits down in there really nice. So that's right where we want to have it. Make sure when you install your tuning machines that the pegs, that the tuning peg, this part of the tuning machine, is towards the top of the instrument. You don't want it the other way around because they don't work as well that way. So now to screw this in place, what we're going to do is take a awl, and we're just going to make just a slight indentation in the wood where we're going to put the screw. We want to be really careful with this. We want these screws to look nice. We don't want to break them off. You know, you spent many hours building this instrument, and this is kind of an exciting part, and we want to make sure that it is perfect. So we've marked those with an awl. Excuse me, and I've taken a 3/64 inch drill bit here, which is the right size for the pilot, and I put a little piece of masking tape on it so that the bit, I can stop it so it doesn't go clear through. The last thing we want to do with our pilot hole is drill clear through into the slot. So we're just going to go and we're just going to drill these down for the screw and get them nice and square. And we know right where to put them. There we go. So we've drilled those little holes now, pilot holes for the screws. We can put this on here. And we're going to take our screws. What I always do is I take the screws and I put them in a little little can or something like this. They're very small little screws, and last thing you want to do is be dumping them off onto the floor. Make sure you have the right size screwdriver for the screws. You don't want to have one that's too long or too wide rather, because it'll scratch the plate here, and if it's too small it could slip and you could bugger the slot in the screw. So we're going to take a screw, and I always inspect these screws. They always give you a few extra, and you'll notice that because these screws, if you can see them in this little dish here, they're so small that the threads on them sometimes can be a little wonky. So you have a choice. They always give you an extra one or two, which is nice. Like this one right here, it doesn't have a whole lot of thread on it. Maybe I won't choose that one. I'll pick this. This is a good one. And what I do is I take a block of paraffin and I just rub the threads of the screw across the paraffin like that. And then I just kind of roll it around so that the paraffin is on the threads of the screw. Then we set the screw in the little hole. Make sure that you have this in a vise or something where you can catch underneath it if you drop the screw. And then just very carefully here, we're going to put the screw in. So some people say that you can turn it backwards a turn or two before you start it. You can do that if you want. I like to just, I've got a pilot hole, so I know it's going to go right where I want it to go. So I just guide the shaft of the screw and just very carefully put that screw in. And I know these are little brass screws. They're not steel, so you have to be careful that you don't over tighten them. And we just get that one there. It's not completely tight yet. And then we'll go on to our next screw. We'll put them all in, and then we'll come back and we'll tighten them up later. So here's a little paraffin. I have this block of paraffin that I use for this, and it just kind of lubricates the screw going into the little screw hole. So I got that one there. Oopsie, I dropped that one, but it fell right into my dish, so it's not a problem. I can pick it up. That's why I have that dish there. And I'm not doing this over some area where I'm going to lose the screw. These screws are so small. Do not use your power drill to put these in. Do them by hand with a screwdriver, because if you over tighten them or you slip off, you'll regret it. Okay, now here's that other. They gave me one extra one, so I'm not going to use that one that's a little bit shy with having good threads on it. This one has really good threads, so put a little paraffin on there. I just kind of roll it in my fingers to get the paraffin to go into the little grooves. Set it there. And there we go. So we get the screw in. Give it we can feel it when it's down, and you can also see if you can wiggle your tuning machine, and if it wiggles a little bit, then you know you need to tighten the screws a little more. These screws just hold the plate in place. They don't have they don't really have anything to do with the tension on the strings. That's held by the peg against the holes that you drilled for the pegs. So these are in there just right. So that's perfect. I just take a little rag or something, and there's a little paraffin. There's a little extra paraffin kind of snuck out on me there on the sides, and we just wipe it off. And so that's how we attach the tuning machines onto the bed. And there they are. They're beautiful. These Rubners are just beautiful, and they work really well. If you want to put a little drop of oil or something on there, I would advise against using an oil. I'd use maybe some dry silicone lube or something like that, but just very, very little, not much. And don't ever use WD-40 on these, because it gets gummy with time and that's not a good thing to have. So I hope this has been helpful to you. If you enjoyed it, subscribe to my channel and like this video. See you next time.